can start. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, dear colleagues. We continue with a panel. The next panel is about archaeology and how to bridge the gap between, I would say, sometimes a very old past and the present. I could also say we do in the next 60 minutes the Indiana Jones panel with archaeologues and about how to make it science popular and about their experiences in their institutions. It's a lot about communication and contemporary tools, how to address an audience today for the past. Please give a warm welcome to our panelists. From the Pile Dwellings Unteruldingen, Gunter Schöbel from Germany. Then Rupert Gebhardt from the State Archaeological Collection in Munich, Germany. And Beryl Gür from Zeyrek Şinili Hamam Museum, Istanbul, Turkey. And Ángel Rocamora from the Mining Museum, La Unión, España. Gunter, you start, right? Perfect.
Thank you. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation here to Bilbao. It is a great honor and a true joy for our museum, the Pfahlbaumuseum Unteruldingen, to be here today. We are the oldest open-air museum in Germany, proudly welcoming visitors since 1922. You can find us on Lake Constance, a large lake in the heart of Europe, right on the border of Austria and Switzerland. A private association of 700 members proudly supports our work. We have a dedicated team of about 50 people, including archaeologists, educators, and craftspeople. Together is our goal to be a museum for everyone. Every year, we welcome between 250 up to 300,000 visitors. Our main mission is to bring early human history back to life. We focus on the Stone and Bronze Ages, taking you back 3,000 up to 6,000 years into the past. We research, collect, preserve, and educate using all the standard methods of a modern museum. We also run our own research institute dedicated to prehistory in the Alpine region. Over the years, we built a strong network with local communities, universities, schools, and tourism partners. Almost every child in our region visit us with their school class. Later in life, they return as parents or grandparents. We want people to visit us multiple times. We want them to come back, experience early history, and learn lessons they can use today. That is our philosophy and requires constant innovation. We are a popular destination, but we face one major challenge. Our original archaeological sites are located underwater. Visitors cannot simply walk up to them. These Stone and Bronze Age settlements have survived perfectly at the bottom of the lake, and this preservation is a true gift. Since 2011, They have been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, along with other locations across 5 countries around the Alps, protected from the air. Many artifacts have survived beautifully underwater. However, only archaeological research divers can reach them. Occasionally, private collectors also find items washed ashore during the low water in the winter. Because of this, we rely on staging. Now we have to go up. We have to rely on staging, design, and reconstruction to make the invisible visible for the general public. We meet this challenge by displaying the original valuable discoveries in protective showcases. Then, using data from our excavations, we carefully rebuilt these prehistoric houses and fully furnish them. Our guides lead about 15,000 tours every year. They explain the history to our visitors and answer their questions. This personal connection is the core mission of our open-air museum. We also use visual communication. We create lifelike scenes of daily life and put up illustrated boards to answer common questions. Practical, hands-on work with school groups is highly important to us. Inclusion also a major focus, so we design programs for everyone from kindergarten children up to senior citizens. We use a wide range of modern museum techniques, constantly improving them alongside students and experts. This includes experimental archaeology, living history, and also historical reenactments. Modern media studios, we also take and show it up in our new building. These digital visuals fascinate everyone, not just our younger guests. A new museum building opened up in 2024 will help us present these ancient treasures in an even modern and accessible way. But the most important element is always the lake and its beautiful shoreline. It is the original setting we preserve. It creates an unforgettable experience of nature and history that you can feel with all your senses. Our daily challenge is taking these hidden underwater excavations and sharing them beautiful with the public. Now, please join us on a short tour through our new museum, from the original discoveries, through the diving archaeology, and into our reconstructed worlds. Let us travel from the past right up to the present. Thank you for your attention.
Dear colleagues, I would first like to introduce two colleagues of mine, Brigitte and Holger, who are sitting in the audience. They are keeping an eye to the director of this institution, and I will present our museum now for you today. We start with an impression in a film.
The State Archaeological Collection was founded in 1885 as the collection of the Bavarian state for archaeological relics from the past, from every past, basically, from the beginning of human settlement in Bavaria and Central Europe up to latest times. We have a huge range of objects, and we still collect things. So the museum is, so to say, the showcase of our whole collection. There is a narrative that connects all the different parts of the exhibition and tells the story in a successive way, starting from the mankind and the image that man itself makes of himself. We fundamentally do not know how old things are. So we create a relative time scale, but also an absolute time scale. And time was always, also in past cultures, a very central moment, because we recreate these time circles and create a chronology that gives us the opportunity to put things in order in a way. One of our main aspects of communicating the past to the audience, to the visitors, is to put these items, the physical items that are on display in the showcases, into a virtual reality that we created via AR. What we make with this AR game is, to some point, gamification of the past, where people can enjoy the museum, but also diving into the past in a very modern digital environment. There are also other buildings and building areas where our colleagues and our team members from the conservation department and the restoration department work, where they have their ateliers, where they can focus on the preservation of the items. We have a quite huge restoration department that give the objects the best possible setting that these items can expect. And we function as an archive of human prehistory created and being preserved for the future and for future research as well. And this is what we show to the public, that everything created in the past has a meaning to the future and fosters the future and has results in the future. So what we can learn from the past is important for our future and for us to create our worthwhile future in a way.
The Archaeological State Collection is one of Europe's leading museums for prehistoric and historic artifacts. It collects, preserves, and presents objects from Bavaria while placing them in a wider European and global context. Our dedicated team brings history to life in a way that is clear, engaging, and accessible to everyone. Our goal is to make knowledge open to all. The museum is a place that sparks curiosity and invites discovery. Visitors can explore finds and research both on site and online. Digital technologies enrich the experience and make it enjoyable for all ages. Located in the heart of Munich, the museum building was fully renovated by Nieto Sobejano Arquitectos and reopened in 2024. It is designed to be accessible, flexible, and welcoming. Alongside permanent and temporary exhibitions, it offers modern workspaces, a cafe with a rooftop terrace, and larger event areas. More than just a museum, it's a lively meeting place where people can come together, spend time, and connect. Together with Atelier Brückner and the comics artist Frank Schmolke, we created a continuous story that guides visitors through the exhibition. Around 1,500 objects tell the story of Bavaria from over 140,000 years ago. 15,000 objects of about 24 million objects we have in our collection. I learned today we are 3 times the Louvre, which I recognized. Very nice. The museum offers a wide range of programs for schools, children, seniors, and people with special needs, making culture accessible for everyone. Our exhibition tells stories that connect with visitors on an emotional level. We see ourselves as storytellers. Our staff are not only experts, but also guides through time. Visitors can explore different areas, discover other cultures, and reflect on their own world. The exhibition shows that history makes permanent perspectives. It encourages visitors to think about their role in society and to take an active part in shaping it. We promote critical thinking, dialogue, and democratic values. Our aim is to learn from the past to build a better future. We use creative and modern approaches. Comic-style illustrations bring objects to life. Digital guides support individual tours, and interactive stations invite visitors to take part. Games and hands-on activities make learning especially engaging for children and young people. The Archaeological State Collection offers a diverse, modern, and forward-looking museum experience for everyone. Through storytelling, new media, and interactive elements, it creates a unique place for learning and exchange, and in this way we bring our guiding idea to life. We explore the past to shape the future. The best experience for you would be to visit us in Munich. We would like to welcome us. We are easily to find near the Englischer Garden, just the place where the hotspot for the surfing society in Munich is. So bring your surfboard with you. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I'm Beril Gürtanyeli from Zeyrek Çinli Hamam Museum in Istanbul, Turkey. And I'm here with my colleague Yavuz Suyolcu, who was the director of the restoration project and now one of the founding advisor of our museum. I'm very happy to be here to share our journey from a restoration project into a living cultural complex. But before I begin, I would like to thank the European Museum Forum, EMYA Judges, and Euskararen Etxea for bringing us together. Our museum was born from a restoration project after the unexpected discoveries. The project was originally conceived as a restoration of 16th century Hamam, built by Mimar Sinan and commissioned by Barbaros Hayrettin Pasha. During the conservation works, archaeological discoveries and uncovering of nearly 3,000 tile fragments changed all the plans. These findings expanded the project's scope beyond restoration and leading to the creation of a museum dedicated to interpreting the architectural, archaeological, and cultural heritage of Zeyrek Çinli Hamam. We are a private museum initiated by the Marmara Group in 2010. The restoration project spanned over 13 years and concluded in 2023. As I told, its goal was to review the bath's original function As the project evolved, however, the discovery of the hammam's famous styles and archaeological finds dating from 5th century to 20th centuries transformed the restoration into an archaeological excavation. Today, while continuing to operate as a working hammam, Zeyrekçinli Hammam now also includes a museum, a Byzantine cistern, a shop, a cafe, and a reading room. This is before and after the restoration. The hexagonal tile panels were the only remaining ones on the walls. This is hot room of the hammam. And we were thinking that Zeyrekçinli Hammam, Çini means tile, and Zeyrek is the name of the neighborhood we are in. So we thought that it took its name from these hexagonal panels, but it was different. This is the hammam now, and the remaining hexagonal tile panels on the wall. And this is the cold room of the hammam. You can see here the dry paintings on the walls from 18th and 19th centuries after the removal of the tiles from the walls in 19th century. A view from outside. Zeyrekçinli Hammam takes its name from the exceptional tiles that once covered its walls. In 16th century, ethnic workshops produced thousands of blue and white tiles designed and produced specifically for the hammam, and many of them were later removed and dispersed across the world in 19th century. During the restoration, nearly 3,000 tile fragments were uncovered and studied, and these led to the identification of 37 distinct patterns specifically produced for the hammam. Above, you can see some very small tile fragments on the wall that was found during the restoration. And below, there is traces of the tiles on the walls. Through collaborative research with leading scholars and specialists, tiles from Zeyrekçinli Hammam were identified in the collections of many museums like V&A, Louvre Museum, and it helped us to reconnect dispersed fragments with their original settings. Making of the museum, an image from. And this is our Hammam Culture Gallery and our tile gallery. An open-air installation showing the journey of water from the source to the hammam. Every Thursday, museum is free for everyone, and every Wednesday, free guided tours are available, both Turkish and English, and these tours are led by the museum team. We have 2 books for now, and the first book is Barbarossa's Çinli Hammam, a masterpiece by Sinan. It was produced in collaboration with the ones who were involved in the restoration project, like architects, academics, and experts. And our recently published book, Poetry and Calligraphy at Zeyrekçinli Hammam, in conversation with Bora Keskinar, focuses on the 16th century hammamiye panels of the hammam. We are developing a learning program for both children and adults to share the knowledge, research, and cultural narratives emerged from the restoration process of the hammam. Through educational participatory activities, the program fosters public engagement and positions Zeyrekçinli Hammam as a center for learning, dialogue, and cultural exchange. Our recently opened reading room, rooted in the museum, holds rare books and physical and digital materials on topics related to Zeyrekçinli Hammam, like Byzantine architecture, Ottoman hammams, bathing culture, water heritage, and more. Reading room is welcoming visitors for free. During the restoration, an unexpected discovery was also the Byzantine cistern. There are more than one actually, but one of them we are using as for our site-specific contemporary art program, and it's also open to visitors free of charge. Through exhibitions, learning programs, publications, and public engagement, the museum brings ongoing research to wider audiences. Research on the dispersed tiles, archival materials, and collections related to the hammam and the Byzantine cistern, of course, continues to inform new collaborations, publications, and programs. By maintaining relationships with museum and collections to preserve the tiles of the hammam, the museum continues to build new knowledge around the site and its layered histories. Thank you. We have also the video.
Zeyrek Çinli Hamam Museum was born from a 13 years restoration project of Zeyrek Çinli Hamam. Zeyrek Çinli Hamam is a 16th century Ottoman hammam located in the historic heart of Istanbul within a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was designed by renowned Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan and commissioned by Barbaros Hayrettin Pasha, who is the Grand Admiral of Ottoman Navy. The project initially set out to restore the hammam and reopen it as a working bath within a few years. However, once restoration began, unexpected discoveries reshaped the entire process. As layers were carefully removed, the site gradually became an archaeological excavation. Nearly 3,000 fragments of Iznik tiles, once covering the interior walls of the hammam, were uncovered along with many archaeological small finds. Further research revealed that these fragments represent only a portion of the tile program. Most of the tiles were removed in the 19th century and are now held in major European museum collections, including the Louvre and British Museum. The wish to share these discoveries, ranging from surviving tile fragments to everyday archaeological finds, extended the project into a 13-year journey. In 2023, Zeyrek Çinli Hamam reopened as a multi-layered cultural institution, bringing together a functioning double bath, a museum, a contemporary art space, a reading room, a shop. Designed by Atelier Bruckner, the museum presents the history of the hammam through interconnected thematic galleries including the Journey of Water, the Tile Gallery, and the Hammam Culture Gallery.
Building on its layered history and living heritage, the museum continues its work through learning programs that see space as a place to learn, share, and come together. We offer programs for both children and adults developed together with architects and artists to explore hammam's architecture, tiles, bathing culture, and history in an engaging and accessible way. As part of our cultural responsibility, we work closely with nearby schools and offer free programs for children from Zeyrek neighborhood. Entry is free on Thursdays through the Çinli Thursday initiative. Guided tours in English and Turkish take place every Wednesday and are free with a museum ticket. Free guided tours are also available for school and university groups.
Reading Room was opened in May 2025 and it extends the museum experience into a space for learning and research. It offers a curated selection of bathing culture, Istanbul, tiles, architecture, archaeological small finds, water heritage, Barbaros Hayrettin and Mimar Sinan. The collection serves across researchers and students in all those disciplines, and it offers a selection of reading for younger readers and children. Zeyrek Çinli Hamam publications aim to create knowledge within the framework of the museum themes.
Beneath the hammam, a Byzantine cistern that once supplied the hammam's water now functions as a space for site-specific contemporary art exhibitions that respond to the hammam's layered history and stories.
While visitors explore the museum in an annex building directly connected to the bath, Zeyrek Çinli Hamam itself continues to function as a working hammam. Restored with great care using original materials and techniques, the bath allows visitors to experience the hammam much as it would have been in the 16th century. Beyond preservation, the project also reconsiders the hammam as a living social space, one that is once again part of everyday cultural life rather than a solely destination to be observed.
Thank you.
very beautiful. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm in its wonderful meeting. I'm going to introduce myself. I am Ángel Rocamora, architect. I'm going to speak about the Mining Museum in La Unión. I'm going to start my presentation with a few questions. Can a museum help healing? Can a museum help build the future? Can architecture transform a booth in the landscape into a collective memory? Can the memory of a territory change its future? We believe it can. What happened when a museum stopped putting objects into our suitcases, did stop and start rebuilding emotions? Museum needs to build emotions. La Unión is a small town next to the Mediterranean Sea, very close to Cartagena. It's between Málaga and Valencia, in the middle. For centuries, this was a place of hard work, trade, and an international meeting point for different cultures. Cartagena and La Unión have more than 2,000 years of minery history, and history connected to the sea, industry, and Mediterranean cultures. Cartagena still preserves a rich Roman heritage. And La Unión, it is this different strong was born around the mine. Today we are not here only to present a new museum. We are here to speak about memory, identity, and the future. For many years, this landscape was marked by hard work and sacrifice. Mining changed the territory and the lives of many generations. Men, women, children worked here. Many times, women and children disappear from the official history of mining. For this reason, an important part of our project was to recover their memory, to give a voice to people who were invisible for many years. But today, we want to see this past in a different way. Not only through sadness, also through learning, dignity, and resilience. Beautiful, because beautiful things also came from the mine. A strong collective identity was born here. Have you ever listened to flamenco? Mining flamenco was born here through its sound, hits on the stone with tool when the people work into the cave with this movement, hit, make this heritage for today. A culture of effort and solidarity was born here, and also the ability of the reinvent itself with a great capacity for resilience. Our project is based on this idea. The museum doesn't speak only about the past. It also speaks about the present and the future. We want to preserve a memory and teach new generation the value of this land. The project also has a strong environmental vision. architecture and museography work with the landscape, not destroying it. We didn't to erase the trace of the mine. We transformed them into an essential part of the museum. Today, the mining landscape is not longer only a booth. It's also a place of learning and hope. Scenography has an important role in this experience. Light, sound, and material emotionally guide the visitor. It's not only about looking. It's about feeling the depth of the earth and the human dimension of mining. One lamp, one person. One lamp, one person. One tool, one person. And the center of the museum stands a large structure inspired by the landscape layer of the mine. Each layer represents memory, time, and transformation. The dark layer reminds us of the hard mine work. The warmer layer speaks about the life and the future. Because this land doesn't not only keep materials, it also keeps histories, voices, and memories. Included one dog. And today, our responsibility is to preserve them, live them, and share them together as a society. If you are in the area near to the La Unión, you are welcome to come and join the company of local people, our society, their contemporary art, their flamenco, their culture, and their past, present, and future. Thank you very much. Gracias. Eskerrik asko.
Thank you so much for your presentations and this huge diversity of sites, of history, of experiences. I thought that we could structure our talk a bit about balancing different needs and expectations concerning your institutions. And I thought maybe to start with, you have to be popular. We saw a lot of tools you need also to make understandable the old story. But on the other hand, you have to be scientific. And I think balancing the science and the popular methods of communication, I think it's a challenge. Rupert, maybe you can start. We saw some graphic novel in the exhibition. For example, you spoke about this augmented reality gamification, just two keywords, but you can tell us more. Did you balance this? What was the leading ideas to how you translate the science to an audience?
For our science, archaeology, it's extremely difficult to tell the truth. So we always have to walk on a small way between to be popular and to be scientific. But we always are have the challenge that we will do this as near by the truth as we can. And on the other hand, we do not use methods, for example, like AI for totally reconstruction of a reality which certainly definitely never has existed. So it's a difficult problem for us to entertain the people, but we have found different ways, for example, with this comic style, because the comic style is far away from reality. And everybody knows that this is not reality, but it's an imagination of some stories that could have been happened.
Gunther, I saw your place and it was crowded with classes with young people. I think your institution is very successful in addressing a very large audience. But you are professor at a university, so you combine in your person a bit these two souls in your body to bring it together. What reaction you have maybe from the scientific field, that they say, oh, you are doing a marketplace there, or on the other side? What is your standing in this minefield a bit?
Yes, we are about 400 museums, open-air archaeological museums all over the world, and we have all the same problem. If you go to the US, you can see the Plymouth Plantation. If you go to Spain, you can see Falafel nearby Barcelona, or to Leyre in Denmark. And yeah, it's always a discussion. Are you a Disneyland, or are you a classical scientific-based museum? But I think we reach the people. That's the important information. And we have all the items a modern toolkit of museum has. We have original artifacts, we have replicas, we build houses, we explore, we have a lot of methods. And it's very successful. The big national museums had not so much tools to reach younger people. And I think if we take all the classical scientific methods, if we work together with universities and the colleagues, and we also have a widespread toolkit to reach the person, we can convince the colleagues, and it works because we have the visitors. And this is a big argument.
And what is the impact? You said you have the visitors, maybe in the state collection, with these new methods to for example, these graphic novels, where you say it's not the reality, you can, but what are the reactions of school classes, of young persons? Are you happy with the method and with the result that you get?
I think it works very good, because we had good conversations with the artists who made these graphic novel stories, and you find, for example, in our display, all the objects in the display cases are integrated in these graphics. So you can explore the graphics like an archaeologist. So the people are visiting us, they see the objects, and the objects tell them nothing, and then they in the drawings you see the relationships between the objects. So in our museum and in archaeological museums in generally, it's important to get the relationships between objects, because this is the basic of our science, that we reconstruct history from relationships of objects.
Angel, your place is quite different to the archaeological place, but it's also industrial archaeology. La Union was a mining place. And we could feel a bit in these pictures that it's also quite a tough and heavy story. And I saw in the documents that in 1963 was quite a catastrophic disaster in this mining, that a dam broke and very poisoned water went out. And the museum commemorates also to this story. And my question is, you mentioned the flamenco place, that I think is a very a happy festival, I would say. And on the other hand, you have this the dark side of the place. How you balance this these two sides, and maybe it's also a political issue, this nature disaster. I don't know if everything is over or it's still something that is in the earth, but how you balance this flamenco cultural side and the historic side of this mining story?
When I say about the speak about the woman and children, for example, the museum is you can listen this flamenco, historic flamenco, born in this darkness zone, is speaking about the woman and the family. No, is good, and is the form for the people today and La Unión can see, feeling this space near our families. It's true. One tool is one person. You can search into the museum your great grandfather in this connection with the children, and you can going with your family and present this real history. This is true.
And the audience in the museum is mostly the local people, because it's an important place for them, or is it more also a touristic site?
La Unión in this, for example, the base is this 19 industry, no? But the worker no born in this moment in La Unión. La Unión in this moment born in La Unión. And this base is La Unión. Our society is this museum, but no is close. The most important festival, flamenco festival in Spain, in this moment is in La Unión. And it is this heritage, the direct for the mining industry, no? And this darkness and this strong work, no? But no is party. It's culture through this heritage. The museum no is close. Is the same the same important. The road around, and this moment between the market where you can make 1 week the most important festival flamenco in La Unión, and return and 11, 12 moment different at the years. This festival to the museum for open the space. It's a new square. La Unión cannot make this budget or this build for close one museum for 1 hour. It's one open space for another situation, society, for workshops.
I think another balancing challenge is about how you finance such places. It's about private and public. And if I understood well, Beryl, it's your institution is privately financed, and also I think it's special to the combination of working hammam and the place that is used, and the museum. It's also the popularization and the science, but also I would say also the business model to have this institution. How is this? Is this a challenge to keep this museum and the hammam, or is this something harmony, or is it sometimes more in struggle?
Yes. So our case is maybe very specific and unique because hammam and the museum and the cistern shop, reading room, our garden all together, consisting in a like living cultural complex, and they are supporting each other. And financially, also hammam is supporting the museum. It's generating income for the museum. And this is also interesting that historically it was like that also in Ottoman Empire. The hammams were again producing income for foundations of the owners of the hammam. So our model is also still kind of working like that. Hammam is generating income, and museum is a non-profit supported by the owners of it.
In the case of Rupert and Gunther, you have completely different financial models. Maybe I start with Gunther. You have a lot of visitors, but you need them also to run your institution. Can you say a bit more? Maybe also what does it mean to?
Yes, we are a private association and we have to finance ourselves. Is the commercialization of tourism a danger? That's the question. And what is the scientific and social responsibility in a World Heritage Site? For us, tourism isn't a danger. On the contrary, it brings people to us. It all depends on what you do with it. It depends on how you tell the story, how accurate you are, and how you handle the complex parts of history. We do not idealize the past. Instead, we promote critical thinking. We do show treasures, yes, but we also show everyday life. We explain our scientific work and actively protect the World Heritage Site. In everything we do, we highlight our responsibility to both to the archaeological sites and to the museum, and it works.
Take it a bit more.
Yeah, it works, yes.
I think an aspect that I saw in some of your institutions is also to be is a touristic landmark on the one side, and on the other side to be important for a local identity. And Beryl, I think you didn't talk now about it, but I can imagine a lot of Istanbul tourists who like to go to the hammam, but you are also in a neighborhood, and you have to take care also of the locals there. And how you balance this with to keep the contact with locals and to be successful for tourists?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Zeyrek neighborhood is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites area of Istanbul. But even it's in the historical peninsula, it's lesser known area of the city. So yeah, after our emergence, people are started to come here, and we got many tourists, of course, and they are coming to the hammam, and also they are seeing the museum. But our like 20% of our visitors are coming from the hammam. So majority of the people are only coming for the museum, to be in the museum. And for the neighborhood, we are working with an NGO in the neighborhood, and also we have close communications with the schools in the neighborhoods, and we are doing workshops for the children for free in collaboration with the schools. By this way, we are trying to make our ties better, stronger with the community, the neighborhoods.
And how is it in Uldingen-Mühlhofen? It's a village. It's not super big. And the association that created your museum is also small. Do they speak sometimes from over tourism in Uldingen, or how is this relationship to the locals?
That could happen, yes, because we are located in a summer tourism region, and we focus heavily in summertime on our international audience during the warmer months. But in the wintertime, however, we shift to regional programs. We host photo exhibitions, like Angel also showed up, locally history displays and history workshops specifically designed for the local community. We change it, summertime, wintertime.
Great. I checked the time and we are a bit over the schedule. I think we are all still here in the evening, in the hall. And if there are any other questions, you please can ask them. Thank you so much for this interesting talk and for the perspectives you gave us. And we continue soon.
Well, hello everyone. This is Nayat Karakose. I am the incoming EMYA judge for the new session. Well, welcome to the final panel session of the day. I have this distinct privilege to conduct this final panel titled as Echoes Beyond Objects, Curating the Intangible. I hope you're still full of energy, otherwise I will have to seek resource and help. Wonderful. Great. I'm happy to hear that. And actually, rendering the intangible tangible, the invisible visible, the unheard heard is a challenge, and overcoming this challenge requires creative, powerful, and inspiring strategies. And we have 4 participants today from 4 remarkable museums. And with their presentations and discussions, we will explore how museums step beyond the material world to narrate heritage through the lenses of sound, memory, literature, lived experience. Well, we will dive into the curatorial strategies that breathe life into historical icons, literature, music festivals, transforming what is silent, personal, and non-spatial into a tangible, sensory, and deeply shared reality. And we will also discuss how these museums actually transform the visitors from being just passive consumers of information from an active participant who build their own connection with the heritage and even who become the co-creators of these museums as well. And ultimately, we want to explore how curating the unseen and unheard elements of our history, of the past, can transform collective memory into active spaces for dialogue, mutual understanding, reflection, and also conscience. Well, for this session, I would like to invite Thomas Koulas from Tsitsistanis Museum, Trikala, Greece. Daiga Bondare from the Latvian National Museum of Literature and Music in Riga, and Iveta Ruskula will take part in the discussion session, and Stéphanie Lugon from La Muette Espèce Littéraire in Pouilly, Switzerland. And finally, Mette Bjørn Jensen from Kaimund Museum in Ulfborg, Denmark. And now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Aratsaldeon. My name is Thomas Tsoukalas. I'm an architect museologist, and I have the honor to present the Tzitzannis Museum in Trikala. And if you ask me to make this presentation in less than a minute, I would just play this for you. This song is called Cloudy Sunday. During the German occupation, our protagonist has just watched the execution of a man in the streets of Thessaloniki. He walks home through the snow and writes this song of grief and sadness that became one of the most beloved melodies of post-war Greece. This man is Vasilis Tzitsanis, and this is a museum about him. He was born in Trikala in 1915, into a Greece caught between two musical worlds. On one side, the elegance, imported from Europe, the cafés Santan, the salons, and the orchestras. On the other side, it was rebetiko, the music of the underground, the poor, the marginalized, the Greek refugees from Asia Minor, music played in hashish dens and sung in prison yards. Tzitsanis managed to change that. Without abandoning its emotional truth, he redefined its melodies, broadened its themes, and brought rebetiko music out of the shadows, into the taverns, onto the radio, and into the living rooms of everyday Greeks. He transformed it into what the Greeks call laiko, popular, the music of the entire people, not just its margins. During the Second World War, he composed numerous songs. After the German occupation, he records them, opening his soul to the people, singing lyrics to unite people suffering from one more war, a civil war. He keeps up with a new era arising. He becomes not only Greece's greatest entertainer, he becomes the embodiment of the society. In 1984, Tzitsanis dies, just on the day of his birthday. He has spent nearly 50 years on stage, creating songs about love, pain, exile, war, survival, but also about women and exotic places. Songs that outlived wars, occupations, dictatorships, even his death, and became heritage for us all. Okay. The building of Tzitsanis Museum has its own stories to narrate. Built in the 16th century as an Ottoman hammam, centuries later it is transformed into a prison that for over a century held mountain bandits, vile criminals, resistance fighters, detainees and political prisoners, a place described as the most miserable and wretched prison in the country. Nowadays, Tzitsanis' legacy is hosted in this building, just as Tzitsanis took rebetiko music from the underground and transformed it into the music of an entire people, so did this building. It traveled from exclusion to inclusion, from a prison, a place that shuts people out of society, to a museum, a place that invites everyone in. The walls did not change, but the echoes within them did. At the beginning of any museum exhibition project, a crucial question arises. Who tells the story? Tzitsanis' story was too recent to allow for an objective assessment.
The first gallery on the permanent exhibition is called Listen to Tzitsanis, and the title means exactly what it says. Through a timeline that points out multiple narrations with facts about his life, places he lived, his music creations and cooperations, we let Tzitsanis narrate his own life in his own words. Visitors can see him face to face, hear him telling his story. The second gallery is called In Front of and Behind the Palco, showing a duality in Tzitsanis' life. In front of the palco, he was the performer, totally dedicated to his audience, even getting off the stage and sitting among the audience. Behind the palco, he was quiet but complicated, a man alone with a guitar, wrestling with a memory that wouldn't come, composing between sets, bringing stories into life. You can see his handwriting, listen to him playing the music, even see his cigar smoke going up. This gallery holds both the public face and the private struggle. The third gallery is the musicological journey. How can one man transform music? It's not only the duration of half a century, it's not only the amount of more than 500 songs, it's his personal passion along his music talent to create, to explore, not to be afraid to change. We don't just conclude that he was a great musician. We let his contemporaries, prominent figures of music and other arts, recognize him as a great creator, as a master. And at the heart of the exhibition sits a small recording studio where visitors are invited to sing alongside Tzitsanis himself, even record themselves, surrounded by the stories and the work of his life. But how all these things resonate with the people, the audience? In 2025, in the small city of Trikala, of around 60,000 residents, the Tzitsanis Museum welcomed over 45,000 visitors. More than 9,000 students across Greece walked through these doors in a single year. One event took place every 2 days, attended by nearly 10,000 people, but numbers tell only part of the story. Our museum has no entrance fee, as this is a place for everyone. In the administrative building of the prison, opposite the exhibition hall, there's a second fully equipped recording studio with free access to musicians from Trikala and beyond. The studio logged over 1,000 hours of rehearsals and sessions just last year. We believe that the best way to honor a composer is not to preserve his work only as an exhibit, but to ensure that somewhere someone is still writing music. The city has embraced all of it. Our small municipal museum has become a meeting point, a rehearsal space, a stage, a classroom, and a living room all at once. Everyone can have a morning coffee or attend an evening concert at the once prison's courtyard, where prisoners and guards once stood, a place now open for everyone. What this museum demonstrates is something important for all of us. Intangible heritage, curated with honesty and deep community roots, can become the very foundation of a city's identity. Thank you very much.
Dear colleagues and friends, I today bring you greetings from the Baltic shores, from a small but proud country, from a people who hold song and dance deep in their hearts. It has taken us Latvians some time to realize that it may be not quite enough just to continue singing, dancing, and playing our national music instruments, while trusting younger generations to carry on our traditions into the future. We must also preserve the memory of all those who have shaped and gifted us the unique tradition of the Latvian song and dance celebrations. As part of the Baltic song and dance celebrations, this tradition has been inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The Song Festival, as we most often call it, is a tradition that has endured for more than 150 years through changing political powers, through turmoil of wars and occupation, exile and mass deportations, and ultimately, the restoration of Latvia's independence. It stands at the very core of our nation building. Since 2023, the Latvian National Museum of Literature and Music has taken on the honorable responsibility of safeguarding this living memory. Our work is made possible only through broad community involvement. While one might assume that singing the same song together or dancing to the same tune makes people alike, our festival community actually is as diverse as any society. It spans different ages, genders, nationalities, social and professional backgrounds, and includes people living both in cities and in countryside. Our members reside not only in Latvia. In fact, we have community members also across continents. The community is equally diverse in their artistic choices, whether one sings, dances, plays an instrument, or creates ethnographic costume. And our festivals, too, they reflect this diversity. Within this movement, there are festivals for school children, students, regional celebrations throughout Latvia, and events organized by our diaspora members worldwide. With the support of participants and stakeholders, we continue to expand our collections, to engage with community, and share our story with visitors to our country. In a moment, you will see a visual representation of our permanent exhibition, because it is best experienced through sight and sound, capturing the powerful energy that emerges when thousands and thousands of people unite in their finest efforts and most sincere intentions, when they unite in their love of peace and creativity. But before, I would like to share that we are really proud to continue growing and becoming more inclusive. Since May, our main installation has been made accessible to visitors with hearing impairments through a translated video, sign language. And now, our song space.
Latvians sing, sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, but almost always in harmony with nature. Here, song is not just an art form. It is a way for people to unite, preserve memories, and take part in a shared cultural process. This is why singing has become a language of identity for Latvians. A large collective singing event requires a special space. The Measure Park's great bandstand, known as the Silver Grove, is both a work of architecture and a symbolic, sacred place. It blends into the forest and resonates with voices, creating a space where nature, architecture, and people work together as one. When voices unite, song takes on social significance. The Song Festival is a democratic event. Anyone can be part of the choir. This tradition, which has developed over more than 150 years and is recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage, is proof of cultural sustainability and community strength. Silver Grove is also home to the permanent exhibition Song Space of the Latvian National Museum of Literature and Music, an active public space where tradition is studied, interpreted, and passed on. Educational programs, concerts, and community events ensure that the Song Festival is not just an event that takes place once every 5 years, but a continuous cultural process. The exhibition was created by significant community involvement through donations of exhibits to the museum and active participation in the creation of the world's largest choir installation, which involved 3,000 volunteers from all over Latvia. Song Space tells this story as a river of time flowing through history, political change, and generations. It reveals that tradition is not static. It changes, but it does not stop. Sound creates a wave, and the wave carries the song forward. The virtual experience with 128 screens allows visitors to enter the center of the Song Festival, from the sounds of nature to the climax of the choir. It is not just watching, but participating, which creates an emotional connection with tradition. And when the real Song Festival takes place, this place comes alive in the fullest sense. The museum merges with the event, and tradition affirms itself in action as a living, community-based cultural heritage that continues to grow.
Eskeri Kasko, and welcome to Latvia.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I'm going to present you today EMYA2026 littéraire, or literary spaces. But first of all, I just wanted to say how happy I am to be here, and on behalf of our team, how honored and privileged we feel to have been invited by EMYA and to be part of this community. So EMYA2026 Literary Spaces is a very small institution located in Switzerland, in Puy, which is a small town by Lake Geneva, about 2 minutes from Lausanne. It is dedicated to French-speaking Swiss author C.F. Ramu and to Swiss literature from the French-speaking part of Switzerland in general. So here you have a map of the country. The green part is the French-speaking part. You can see at the bottom Geneva and the lake, and Lausanne and Puy. So it represents about a bit more than 20% of Swiss population that is French-speaking, so a language minority with its obviously own history and its proper culture that is different from France. Ramu is very significant in this small part of the world. He contributed largely to a sense of cultural identity for the region, as his literary universe is very much rooted in this territory. He is, however, also of considerable significance in French-speaking literature worldwide, what we call francophonie, because his literary style, his aesthetic pursuit, is very much a claim or a statement for a literary French language that is liberated, we can say, from the elitism of French Parisian circles. So his influence reaches much further than the green corner of the world I showed you before, and his impact on French-speaking literature is actually quite important. So the museum opened in 2023. It is set in Ramu's family home called La Muette. The house still belongs to his great-granddaughter, and the crux of the museum is his study. So this is not a traditional writer's house as we might imagine it. It is still inhabited, and only a small part of the building is accessible to the public. It is his study, and the space leading up to it. So the space that used to be the garage, the garden shed, the boiler room, so it's about 100 square meters. The temptation for a period room was great, but we didn't want to be looking backwards. Camus' literature is very modern, it's very lively, and we felt like that a shrine-like museography would not convey the relevance of his literature today, and also we didn't really want to be feeding the cult of the author. So we restored the study in its 1930s condition, and we renovated Camus' furniture so that the visitors can actually use it. We do exhibit traditional elements of literature that we find in Literature Museum, like the writing tools or manuscripts, because we focus a lot on the craft of writing, but we also made some more radical curatorial choices. For the space leading up to the study, we decided to commission contemporary artists, so photographers, light installation artists, painter, movie director. We invited them to dive into Camus' literature and give their interpretation of his work through their own artistic medium. So the end result is a constellation of subjective views that enrich perspectives and that immerse the audience in Camus' universe, as opposed to an invisible institutional voice that explains what his literature is. So we go through visual input that is not illustrative but interpretative. And what is interesting is that it makes sense with Camus' literature because his writing is very visual. He uses a lot of images. He was surrounded by painters. His wife was a painter, and he's often described as a painter with words. So this is a very contemporary take that moves away from what is expected in a traditional writer's house. But underlying it is a strong sense of what his literature is about. So in a way, the curatorial practice in itself reflects some dimension of his work, and this is what we liked about this particular approach. The second approach we took was to opt for an audio-guided tour. So we wanted our visitors to have an experience close to the one that we have when we read. So a quiet, peaceful, atmosphere, like being in your own bubble with your headphones and just letting go and following the flow. So the interior design, the lighting, the furniture, everything was thought through with that in mind. And for the audio guide, we moved away from the traditional factual narrative voice. What you can hear is actually an editing of interviews, so a conversation format that is dynamic and not scripted, closer to that of a podcast, really. You hear literature experts and the artists that are displayed in gallery. So it's both informative and sensitive, and of course soundscapes and music play a big part in the experience as well. The tour lasts 50 minutes. There's a reading library as well for visitors that are particularly engaged, and it favors a sort of contemplative state and a moment in which time seems to be standing still, just like when you're deep into a good book. And finally, another curatorial choice we made early on was to consider our digital space and our programming as curatorial tools in themselves and not as extras or late additions. So what happens outside of the museum walls, whether it is digital or physical, is as important as the exhibition. Hence our name, Literary Spaces, plural. And maybe I'll have more time to touch on that in the panel. I see I'm almost over the limit. I'll just conclude by saying that what we were interested in was to think about how to use our curatorial practice and the physical experience of the space that the visitors have to convey something of Camus' literature that actually go beyond the content that what we display, and that was a line of reasoning and exploring that was actually very interesting to work with. So I hope to have the pleasure of welcoming you in Puy very soon. Thank you for your attention.
Dear EMYA, dear colleagues, we are honored to have been nominated. My name is Mette. I'm the director of 10 museums. If I lose my voice during this, my colleague Caroline will take the stage to help me. In his own time, playwright and pastor Kai Munk was a prominent voice in public debate against the Nazi occupiers. But this came at a price. Time and again, he was urged to restrain himself, yet he chose to speak. He was encouraged to flee the country. He chose to stay. It cost him his life. A victim of the first Nazi retaliation killing in Denmark during Second World War, he became one of the most significant symbols of resistance in Denmark. The Kai Munk Museum now tells his story in a new immersive exhibition. It takes inspiration from one of the most popular forms of media in the 1940s, the radio drama. After completing After completing his theological studies, Kai Munk became pastor in the remote part of western Denmark, a short distance from the North Sea. Although the physical distance to the cultural high society could hardly have been any greater, Munk wrote plays for the leading theaters in Copenhagen. Like many others of his time, Kai Munk became fascinated by the idea of a strong leader, especially Mussolini, but also Hitler. However, after the Nuremberg laws, the Kai Munk loudly opposed their anti-Semitic ideologies. And when Denmark was occupied, he became one of the most outspoken critics of the new rulers. When we brainstormed ideas to bring the original parsonage to life, alongside the exhibition designers from Tinker Imagineers, we searched for a way to capture both Kai Munk and the spirit of his time. We started with a blank canvas, as the original tapestries, carpets, and most of the furniture had all been replaced since Kai Munk lived here. In the 1930s, Kai Munk became one of the most frequently performed playwrights in Scandinavia. We had no stage, but we had the drama. We created a radio play that guides visitors through the house via an audio guide. We include two separate timelines in the play. In one, visitors are guided by an omniscient narrator outlining the story of Kai Munk's life as visitors move through the house. And the other follows the Munk family and servants in January 1944. Each room still represents its original function, whether it is the kitchen, the bedrooms, or the living room. There's a point to this. We enter the children's room. The storyline intertwines Kai Munk's childhood with the sound of his own children playing. In the kitchen, his wife, Lise, remembers the courtship between her and Kai. When we meet the family at the dinner table, the atmosphere grows darker. Outside the windows, Denmark has been occupied. The clocks in each room subtly indicate the passing of time, if you notice. The timeline is both imagined and authentic. Given limited exhibition space, the symbols inlaid in the tapestries have a storytelling role. Projections subtly enhance these as part of the story. As the visitors walk through the rooms, it increasingly gets darker. The day turns to night when we enter the living room. Here, the narrator has left us. Only the voice voices that we now know as Kai Munk and his family are in our ears. A knock on the door and mood changes. We realize that fate is waiting at the door.
Who could it be, Mum? Children, stay calm. Tura, please open the door. Yes, Mrs. Mum. Mum, what should we do? Shall we get Dad? Do not get your father.
The unique place of Kai Munk's old parsonage is more than a museum. It's also a place of reconciliation. In his sermons, Munk condemned cooperation with the German Wehrmacht. Yet he also said of the Nazis, "Forgive them, for they know no better." After the war, Germans returned to Denmark's west coast, not as occupiers, but as holidaymakers. Through the shared history, the Kai Munk Museum invites visitors to reflect on the choices people make on both sides of the war. Kai Munk had the courage to change his mind. When ideas he used to admire turned to be based on a repellent view on humanity. He had the courage to speak out, even when freedom of speech was no longer possible. He knew the risk could be to pay the ultimate price. When would you have remained silent? When would you have fled? To us, these questions are especially important to ask younger generations. Through our educational programs, children and young people are encouraged to explore and discuss the questions and concerns that shape their lives during increasingly challenging times. To ease the burden of the dramatic story, most visitors take a stroll in the park. Here, the audio tour turns into a poetry route, diving into the landscape that inspired the pastor, the poet, the playwright, and the public intellectual Kai Munk during his life. The Kai Munk Museum is a concentrated example of the approach of Ringkøbing Fjord museums. It illustrates how historic buildings can serve as witnesses to history and how thoughtful exhibition design can transform them into powerful storytelling environments. Being a museum in Denmark in a vast West Coast landscape, we strive every day to bring history to life in the buildings and in nature exactly where they took place. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for all these inspiring examples. I'm really curious about your museums, although I visited one of yours. Well, I want to start with a common question for all of you. Because some of you mentioned that you have like small museums, and compared to the traditional large-scale institutions, your museums operate in smaller physical spaces, and it comes with some challenges. Even during the preparation stage of these museums, we grapple with these questions pretty often. And how does a smaller museum actually overcome physical space constraints, and what kind of programs and outreach initiatives do you deploy to carry this experience beyond the walls of the museums? Maybe we can start with you.
One of the things that we definitely did was to realize that we don't have that much space, so we skipped all the traditional vitrines and displays, and instead we used this idea of layering the tapestries with the stories and using the audio to be the main guideline of the tour, and that definitely helped us in this scarce space, you can say. And I also believe that actually one of the things that the V&A for young children had as a point was that it should be this magical space that you enter, and it should be easy magical, I think was the term. Easy magic, we also chose that to be the main thing to lead you through the museum, so you don't feel the very digital exhibition. You're just part of it, and that's also true for our visitors, because they are not so young. Most of them are 70 or older, so that's quite important. And luckily, many of them also come as volunteers. So we also have a volunteers program to help us making this place look very special.
Sure. Well, first of all, the space constraints, I think we decided to lean on it and to see it maybe not as a strength, but as an advantage as well. And for example, in the connection with the audience, it's actually quite beneficiary to be small, because you can have like an intimate connection, discussion, interaction, and like welcome and hospitality that is people to people, and that is quite a nice thing as well, to be small for that. So it's definitely part of our DNA as an institution, as a starting point. As I said quickly at the end of my presentation, we do consider our online platform and our program of events as our curatorial tools. That means that they are based on the same curation principles and they expand on them. So contemporary, interdisciplinary, and formats that actually favor a personal experience of literature. Online, we have an exhibition on our website. It's called Ramu in 100 Images. We actually work with UX experts to develop a format that is simple and effective and accessible. So it's basically an image library with very concise content and quotes, and that the visitors can pick and choose what they want. We also have an extended version of the audio guide, that is the podcast. And so it means that you can actually have the experience of La Muette literary spaces, even if you don't come to Puy and see the study. You can actually access curated content that is made into an attractive format online, so that is very important to us. And then our program of events, kind of in the same lines, we tend to organize events that bring a lively, collective, accessible dimension to literature. So we have performances, readings, music, cinema screenings, sound plays. Sometimes we have academic introductions to them to give context, but most of the time we mainly favor like the meeting, the encountering literature and living literature instead of commenting it. And at the moment, we're trying to develop a new strategy, which is of like a bigger project every 2 or 3 years, because not only are we small, but we are a permanent display. So we need to find new ways to engage with our audiences, and it can be an outdoor exhibition, a book, a new digital format, and whatnot. That is currently what we're developing to overcome our space constraints.
As talking about the exhibition Song Space, this huge, crucial, and long history tradition is displayed in only 500 square meters, and the same area we have for community space that is used for community gatherings, educational programs, public events, etc. But I believe that every museum can overcome this constraint of physical space, and in our case, we are happy to be located in this very special site in the grand open-air stage that is located in the middle of Forest Park, that is the heart of the Song and Dance Festival every 5 years. And almost all our guided tours, educational programs are naturally integrated in both in physical and outdoor area. We use this special unique charm of the outdoor space we're located in. Even our guided tour, the dramaturgy of our guided tour includes getting on the very top of the open air stage and then enjoying this beautiful view, and all the visitors, almost all the visitors, use the possibility to sing there and to feel like participants of the Song and Dance Festival. So we overcome this in this way.
First of all, talking as an architect, I would say that space is never enough. Even if the museum is a large-scale museum, it's never enough. Besides, in any discussion, any question, I cannot avoid make the comparison with Tzitzani's life itself. Nothing prevented Tzitzani's from the early ages of singing in a taverna of 4 or 5 tables to make him a very important composer, musician in Greece, and end up singing in large stages and stadiums. So in our museum, we try the space not to be a problem. We try to arrange space. We have arranged the space during the exhibition design so as to include anything that could be the first step for next year's actions. And this has, we have seen the results since the Tzitzani's Museum is a place that everyone talks about inside the city of Trikala in Greece. It adds up to be not just a museum about a musician, it is a cultural point. Anyone that would like to make something and needs a space, they talk to our museum. And not only to arrange something inside the chamber that we have for these actions, but also we use almost the urban space. We're lucky enough to be in a central point of the city, and even the outside space of the museum, which used to be the yard of the old prison, is now an open area for everyone. The cafe of the museum is not just a place that someone would come in the museum to have a cafe. It's the cafe in the square next to the museum. The museum is the passage of everyone's life. But it's not only that. We tend to make cooperations inside the city, inside the country, and international cooperations. So, apart from small actions that happen almost once every 2 days in our museum, we have managed to make cooperations with large universities, large operas, and for example, we have been in the Opera of Cairo in Egypt. We have been last year in the University of Sorbonne in France. We have been in Boston, the USA. Cooperation is everything. We try to be part of life in the city and out of the city.
Thank you. And by the way, I have to remind you Slido. Please, if you have questions, please log into Slido to ask them. Well, I have a question for Stefanie and Iveta about creation of the museum. I want to ask, what kind of inclusive and participatory approaches did you deploy during the creation? What kind of stakeholders did you engage during the creation process?
Okay, I will start. As you saw, the tradition is based on engaging all participants of different communities. And when we got this mandate to develop the exhibition about the song and dance celebration, we followed the key principles that actually became our slogan as well. Nobody should be forgotten. And this key principle is deeply rooted in the tradition itself, because every song and dance celebrations are organized on the basis of engagement, different counterparts, different stakeholders. To reach all these different stakeholders, we use diverse communication methods. And by the way, we changed our role and became kind of producers of smaller festival in order to film the central installation, the greatest choir in the world. So we gathered 3,000 volunteers that represented all communities, for example, choir singers, folk dancers, brass musicians, traditional musical instrument players, craftsmen, even participants from diaspora, from Latvian diaspora in the world. It was very crucial, and I think the exhibition would not be accepted without this participation of community in designing it. And what's more, each of community contributed in its own way. For example, they donated materials from private archives, they shared memories, they helped us to find persons who could tell us more and more. And now these communities has become kind of ambassadors of the museum and exhibition in their surroundings. Yes.
Well, when we started conceiving and producing the exhibition, the permanent display, as I said, the audio guide, the tour, we have literature experts and we have artists speaking, and we really wanted to have also readers' testimonies of their take on Camus' literature and how they related to his texts and his novels and his short stories. However, we started at the end of 2019, which meant that when Corona hit and then the COVID lockdowns, it became very difficult to reach out to people and to gather them and to talk with them. So we had to let that idea go for a while, but now we're circling back to it, and we're currently collecting readers' testimonies to add on our image library online. So it's a way to add that dimension, because literature exists as well because of its readers. And then we, as has been presented by many of you between yesterday and today, engage audiences in different ways. We co-construct as well, like we have an audio guide for the visually impaired and the blind, and we did that with the local association of visually impaired participants. We also took part in a hackathon in an engineering school because we wanted to imagine a web app for students, and they actually came up with a great idea, so now we're developing that with them. And another way we engage our audiences, apart from targeting specific groups in our events, is that we use them, I'll say, as beta testers. A big part of our audience, our visitors, are actually schools, and so we developed educational programs and we tested that with them along the way to be sure that we fulfill their needs and that we can actually improve what we offer to be in alignment with what they expected and what they liked about our museum. I'd like to add that I find this audience engagement and community work very inspiring, but I feel like on our side actually there's there are many, many challenges and a lot of obstacles to that. The first being simply political in a way, like they're very happy that we reach out and do outreach projects to communities, but they actually don't give money for that. Or if they do, you have to let go of other things, of other part of your mission, so that it's a bit schizophrenic sometimes, or you have to juggle between those two things, and it's very time consuming. And also, I feel that to reflect on our team, that sometimes there's a lack of skills as well, and in education for like curators education or museum education, doesn't offer that for the moment, or just small courses. And sometimes I feel that curating an exhibition, setting up an educational program, and setting up participatory projects require very different set of skills. And when you're a team of 2 or less or 3 people, it's very difficult to cover it all. So it's very inspiring, and we hope to do more in the future, but it's a very slow process.
Thank you, and well done. Well, I have a question from Slido, but before that, I want to ask a question to Thomas and Mette, and that question is for you, Thomas. I will ask it just in a bit. So actually, creating museums dedicated to a historical personality is not easy. It comes with many risks, actually, and many challenges. I'm wondering what kind of strategies do you use to transform these historical icons into real, relatable, complex, and not sacred human beings? This is the question for both of you. And Thomas, this is for you. Well, one of our participants is curious whether you have preserved the history and artifacts of the prison period as well.
Well, first of all, I'm quite sure that you're right, that we should not treat these persons as sacred. We have many positions on Kai Munk in Denmark, and there are also right-wing thoughts about him, wanting to make him almost a martyr. And we are quite aware not to go into that dialogue in our displays. So instead, we try to see Kai Munk as a full person, like most of us are. We have feelings, play with our children. Also, he wrote poets that were not something that you would sing. Some of his poets you sing, and you still sing him. One of them has just been nominated as the 33rd most popular song in Denmark. But other poems you would only read to your wife. So we try to present him as a father, as a joyful person, and as a very serious man who took his things very seriously. And we did the same with his home, because a lot of people wanted us to keep his home as not touched as possible. And as you could see in the pictures, this was not the direction that we took. We actually put in many layers in his home. And it was very important to us not to make it a sacred place, but to make it a storytelling place.
Starting from the question of the audience, the character of the last use of the building as a prison still exists. Starting from the building of the administration of the prison, the sign writing Prison of Trikala still exists, the original one, over the central gate of that building. Inside that building, there are files and closets with papers full of files from the prison, still in the same place that they were 15 and 20 years and 50 years ago. And I mention that because although this building is not an exhibition building, however, from time to time it is used for other actions. For example, about 2 weeks ago, there was a small theatrical inside this building happening, and other contemporary exhibitions, photographic exhibitions happens in this building, although it's not designed for an exhibition. Inside the main exhibition, the building has transformed a lot. Imagine that, as I said in my presentation, its first use was not the prison, it was the Ottoman bath. So there is a triple character in this building. The Ottoman bath is visible in the first level of the building, where it is not the exhibition of Tzitzannis. However, from the first level, there are some inside gaps, balconies that you can see downstairs and have the feeling of the downstairs. You can see the fountains of the bath from the exhibition of Tzitzannis. You can hear people walking downstairs, and when you are downstairs, you can look upwards and see some of parts of exhibition of Tzitzannis. We have made an installation in one of these central areas that is visible both levels, where a large projection on a curved surface is visible from both levels. Moreover, apart from the use of the baths, it is a very, I can say strange, but very interesting story that Tzitzannis himself has written, has composed a song about a prisoner who was imprisoned in that prison. And the whole country knows this song. And when you visit that prison, you actually see that this song that you know, the story of this song has happened in that area, in that prison. So we could not avoid not talking about that. So in one of the corners of the exhibition itself, we have made a part of a cell using a real telephone that the prisoners were talking during the visiting in the prison. We have made a glass with two of these phones, one from the one side, one from the other side. The visitors can hang on, and strangely they hear music by Tzitzannis. In this small area, simultaneously, we represent a video of a documentary film concerning the prison. So the visitors have the actual side of how the prison used to be. Imagine that it was a prison, not with specific cells, but with large rooms and all the prisoners inside the large room. It was one of the most horrible prisons in the country, as I previously said. And anyway, as a part of the history of the building, and of course part of the history of Tzitzannis' work, anyway, a prison is there. And regarding the other question, Tzitzannis represents in Greece the popular song. He is part of the people. The exhibition itself has the name that we have given the name Tzitzannis of the world, of the people, meaning the people. Actually in Greek is Tzitzannis of Cosmos, but Cosmos in Greek means the people, the whole world, everyone. This is the meaning, because he was always open to anyone. I can use some of his words that I was amazed hearing him. Fortunately, we have a lot of recordings with him, not just singing, with talking about his life. And these parts of interviews we have used inside the exhibition itself. That's why we said that people can hear him talking about his life. And when he was asked, what's your favorite song? He answered, my favorite song is the one that people likes. He was not composing just to compose music. It was not art for the art, it was art for the people. And starting from that point, we could not see this personality as the sacred person. He was part of everybody's life. Where the Tzitzani's used to sing, it was a place that everyone would go, no matter from which level, economic or whatever level of society would be. Mainly in his late years of his life, it was truly a cultural hub, the place that you were singing. After late at night, everyone else, even singers from other places, met in his place to hear him. And one last thing is that since it's a very recent history, we let Tzitzani's tell his own story, because there were a lot of times that we had the question, what should we tell about this thing? There is a dispute about a lot of things, a lot of stories about his life. We did not avoid telling these difficult stories. We have them there inside the exhibition, and without judging some of the things, we even let Tzitzani's tell his story, or we write down things that other people have said about him, and we just let it there without judging them, letting people and next day's history to judge what has happened exactly.
Well, thank you very much. I have no more questions as the time is already up. And thank you for participating. And today's program is over here, but we're going to move to... Thank you.
Those clappings were, it was a great panel, but mostly, on my opinion, to Nayat Karakoza, who moderated the first of, I hope, many more panels on the EMYAs to come. Thank you, Nayat. A good start. So, as you know, I'm the publicity man. So for starters, don't forget, you get this lovely experience on the stage, and you can experience also in a more personal level. So we have the workshops with the former winners that you can register at the accreditation desk with the 4 prizes of last year. And one important thing, so World Cup is on, and regarding, so you are in Spain, of course you show sympathy for the Spanish team, and tonight your favorite players, listen carefully, are Unai Simon, Aymeric Laporte, and Nico Williams. Because the reception, it will be at the stadium of San Mamés, Athletic Bilbao. So, reception is at 7. You can go earlier to visit the museum. And the info is this. So, doors 19-20 lead to the museum, and doors 24-25 lead to the reception. The stadium has all the doors open right now, so for you don't get confused and going around the stadium. So, these are the information. Tomorrow is another big day. See you later, not tomorrow. Thank you so much.